Hey, fellow humans, welcome to the Minicast Mastery version of the Virtual Presentation Skills podcast. We guarantee to deliver value in less than 10 minutes. This is the show where we mix professional wisdom,
a dash of humor,
and a lot of really cool brain science. And today, as you can imagine, we are going to be talking a little bit about your brain and a little bit about holiday stress. As a matter of fact, the title today is Virtual Influence, Leading Teams Without Micromanaging. Now, Kathy probably knows I consider myself the opposite of a micromanager, which sometimes fails for me. I don't like to be involved with direct reports when it comes to a lot of conflict. Where I really shine is jumping into other people's teams that are in clear need of nurturing and kindness and psychological safety. And like Kathy and I were talking before the show, a lot of times things are misinterpreted. You guys, listen, text can be so misinterpreted. And like Kathy was saying, by both people. And she was giving a specific example of when this has happened to her in the past. But I just want to say quickly, leading teams through holiday stress, especially when your team personalities mix like oil, water, and, well, unmuted microphones. we know what that's like. Remote teams, honestly, don't magically escape conflict. A lot of people think they do, but what I find is the tension is amplified in the virtual environment because you can't sit down next to the person at a table and hash things out. There seems to be less communication and more assumption. And you know what that word gets you when you break it down. I had that training when I worked at Hewlett Packard years ago. There's less visibility, which is a heck of a lot more misunderstanding. And there's more stress, especially around the holidays. So, Kathy is going to give a good example, and hopefully, this message will change somebody's perspective. If you're thinking right now that you're in a lot of turmoil, I can tell you 100%. Things are happening for the greater good. It might not seem like it right now, but if you're listening to this podcast, you are safe. And no matter what your higher power, whatever it is you're going through, you are going to shine at the end of this. I know that for you. I've got your back. Kathy, talk to us a little bit about the example you shared earlier.
In my prior work life, we have talked about how 2020 was so difficult, and I've mentioned it several times.
Mm.
But what happened during that time is because everybody was remote, some of the text messages were misinterpreted. And what we don't always understand or realize is what's going on the other side. What is the other person dealing with? Why are they reacting this way? What could I do differently? You have to break it down and try to work it out. But it's hard. It's really hard, especially when you're upset or whatever's happening behind the scenes is stressful outside of work. It takes a really good leader to rise above it and just try to settle it.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And understanding a lot of what comes into play here is your amygdala. This is all part of my neurolinguistics training as a coach practitioner. And a lot of this is related to virtual cognitive load. Around the holidays, there's family expectation, travel, holiday pressure. Your brain becomes essentially a crowded browser with about 47 tabs open, and no one knows where the audio is coming from. You know, Kathy, how I always say your audio can be hijacked by a
Oh.
different app that is open behind Zoom. And also, I know you and I don't agree on this, but I have the rule of three. And maybe I'm slightly OCD about it, but when I have more than three browsers open, I know I'm moving into a mode that is not going to be productive. And I'm very conscious of that as a best practice. I have worked with so many leaders over the years and been part of so many virtual teams. And this is part of the neurolinguistics coaching. And when we started in on company culture, we check our egos at the door. And we don't become personally involved with whatever the situation may be. And that's really hard. So I encourage you, if you're a leader, you do need support as well. One of the best places you can start to at least get your virtual office in order is virtualofficeaudit.com. This will provide the foundation for you to know that you have at least some safety around your webcam, your audio, your lighting, etc. And that provides a little bit of psychological safety for you as well as your team. Kathy, do you have any apps you like to use instead of texting?
Yes, Voxer. We've actually been using Voxer for a little while, but we're using it more now than we used to.
Well, it essentially turns your phone into a walkie talkie. And one reason I love it is because we all misstep in our communication, but we can go back to a message somebody leaves verbally and say, this is something that we can discuss. And then part of team culture in any team I've ever been part of is clear and concise communication. When people just drone on and they're trying to explain something, and this is one of the other reasons I am just an advocate of Voxer, because it really helps for people to explain something in less than 30 seconds. And we talked about this on the last show.
I want to go back to your comment about your brain becomes a crowded browser window with 47 tabs open. I think that's so true, especially during the holidays. And when that happens, our brain gets fatigued and then we don't think clearly.
Right. Yes, exactly. We had a senior leader on the team a couple of years ago that did a great job of leading some of our company meetings. And he would always say, "Where is your head today?" In a safe space, again, creating that psychological safety. Where are you? Are you tired, scattered, focused? Unfocused, overcommitted, feeling like you can't breathe. You are festive because it's the holidays, but you're completely overwhelmed. And then you have the opportunity to share if you want to. I don't think it should be required. If somebody doesn't feel like sharing publicly where their temperature is, that should not be forced, in my opinion. And that's more of a one on one situation. And that is up to you as the leader to provide those safe spaces for your team.
Another way to reduce stress and anxiety is to be very clear about what needs to be done.
Yes, I agree with you. And I'm holding up my hand. Oh, 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 pick me, pick me. You probably know I'm going to say run of show. I cannot
Oh,
tell you whatever you call it if you're not using a run of show like we do for webinars for clients. I have a 57-point blueprint to run a webinar for you. And every project, especially when you're acting as a Gantt chart, which we've all been in those situations, if you're at a stall point and you can't move forward because somebody hasn't completed their task, you just look on your run of show. So no matter what you call it, I call it run of show because we used that 30 years ago. And I'm not moving away from that title. I'm just not, because it works for me. And once people understand why it's so important, like you said, priorities, deadlines, what's important, what's not important. So that is fantastic, incredible insight shared with our listeners. And this feels like a wrap to me. Does this feel like a wrap to you?
I think so, Kimberly.
Perfect. We look forward to meeting you in the next episode where we go live from the waist up.